The night sky above Riverdale burned orange and red, casting eerie shadows across Tyler Reed's face as he stared up at the descending fireball. Most people were running away from the crash site. Not Tyler. Something in his gut told him this wasn't just a meteor. Someone could be inside. His boots crunched through the underbrush as he raced through the woods. The smell of burning pine and something else, something chemical and strange, filled his nostrils. Sweat trickled down his back despite the autumn chill. He'd been the first to spot it coming down, a brilliant flash that started as a pinprick in the night sky before growing larger and brighter until it streaked past the tree line with a deafening roar. By the time Tyler reached the impact site, flames had already engulfed most of the wreckage. It wasn't a meteor. The metallic hull, still visible through the fire, confirmed his suspicions. This was a spacecraft, small, perhaps the size of a delivery van, but unmistakably not of Earth. "Hello," Tyler called out, circling the crash site. "Is anyone in there?" The heat was intense. He raised an arm to shield his face, backing away when a section of the hull suddenly collapsed, sending sparks flying into the night air. That's when he heard it, a soft, pained sound coming from inside. Someone was alive in there. Without thinking, Tyler pulled his jacket over his head and plunged toward the wreckage. The flames licked at his clothes, singing the fabric of his jeans. The metal of the craft was hot enough to blister, but he managed to find what looked like a hatch or door. It was partially open, warped from the impact. "I'm coming," he shouted, hoping whoever was inside could understand him. With all his strength, Tyler pried the hatch open wider. Smoke billowed out, choking him. He dropped to his knees, where the air was clearer, and crawled inside. The interior was surprisingly intact. Control panels lined with strange symbols, seats designed for bodies that weren't quite human in proportion. And there, strapped into what must have been the pilot's chair, was a figure. She, because despite her otherworldly features, Tyler's mind immediately registered her as female, was unconscious but breathing. Her skin had a pale blue tint that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Where a human would have hair, she had what looked like fine, silvery filaments that moved gently, as if alive and responding to the air currents. Her features were delicate, almost fragile, with high cheekbones and a small pointed chin. "Hey," Tyler said softly, reaching out to touch her shoulder. "We need to get you out of here." Her eyes snapped open. They were startling, entirely silver with no visible pupil or iris, yet somehow expressive. They widened in fear when they focused on Tyler. "It's okay," he said, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "The ship's on fire. We need to go." As if to emphasize his point, something exploded deeper within the craft, rocking them both. The alien girl looked around frantically, assessing the situation. Then, to Tyler's surprise, she spoke. "Help me," she said, her voice melodic and accented, but perfectly understandable. Tyler didn't waste time wondering how she knew English. He helped her unstrap from the seat and saw that one of her legs was injured, a viscous blue fluid seeping through her strange, metallic bodysuit. "Can you walk?" he asked. She shook her head. Without hesitation, Tyler scooped her up in his arms. She was lighter than he expected, almost weightless. The ship groaned around them, threatening to collapse at any moment. As they emerged from the wreckage, gasping for fresh air, the night sky lit up with a new set of lights. Not flames this time, but searchlights, powerful beams sweeping methodically through the forest. In the distance, Tyler could hear the thrum of engines, too smooth and quiet to be military helicopters. "They found me," the alien girl whispered, clutching at Tyler's shirt with slender, six-fingered hands. Terror filled her silver eyes. "You don't understand. They'll kill you. They'll kill everyone who sees me." "Who?" Tyler asked, already backing away from the approaching lights, carrying her deeper into the protective darkness of the forest. "The Imperial Guard," she said. "I'm not supposed to be here. I'm—" She hesitated, looking at Tyler with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. "My name is Lyra, Princess Lyra Solaris of the 7th House of Arcturus, and I've just committed treason by coming to your world." The searchlights grew closer. Tyler could now make out the silhouettes of sleek, hovering crafts moving through the trees, much larger than the ship Lyra had crashed in, much more threatening. "Please," Lyra whispered. "If they find me, everything ends. Not just for me, for both our worlds." Tyler's heart pounded as he carried Lyra deeper into the woods, away from the searching lights. The weight of her words sank in slowly. A princess, an alien princess, and he was now harboring a fugitive from some kind of space empire. "There's an old hunting cabin about half a mile from here," he whispered, ducking under a low-hanging branch. "My grandfather built it. Nobody knows about it except my family." Lyra's silver eyes studied his face in the darkness. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know what I am." Tyler paused, shifting her weight in his arms. The blue fluid from her wound had soaked through to his shirt, warm and tingling against his skin. "I know you're someone who needs help," he said simply. "That's enough for now." A sound like thunder rolled across the sky, but there wasn't a cloud in sight. One of the larger ships was descending, its massive hull blocking out the stars as it lowered toward the crash site. "They'll scan for my biosignature," Lyra said, her voice trembling. "They can track me through my blood." Tyler looked down at his shirt, now stained with her blood. "Then we need to move faster." He picked up the pace, ignoring the burning in his muscles. The cabin wasn't far now. As they moved, Lyra began to explain in hurried whispers. "My father rules the Arcturian Dominion. 12 star systems, billions of lives. He's dying. And my brother Darius wants the throne." Her voice caught. "He's made alliances with the outer colonies. He plans to wage war on Earth once he takes power." "Why Earth?" Tyler asked, pushing through a thicket of brambles. "Resources, your oceans, and..." She hesitated. "Humans are genetically compatible with Arcturians. We can interbreed. My brother sees your people as potential soldiers, workers, breeding stock." A chill ran down Tyler's spine that had nothing to do with the night air. "And you don't agree with this plan? I came to warn your leaders, to help forge an alliance before it's too late. But Darius found out. He sent the Imperial Guard to stop me, to make it look like an accident." Her fingers dug into Tyler's shoulder. "No one can know I survived. Not yet." The cabin finally came into view, a small, weathered structure nestled between ancient oak trees. Tyler had spent summers here as a kid, fishing and hunting with his grandfather. Now it would be a hideout for an alien princess. As he carried Lyra toward the door, the ground suddenly shook beneath them. In the distance, her crashed ship exploded in a blinding flash of blue-white light. The force knocked Tyler off his feet. He twisted as he fell, making sure Lyra landed on top of him rather than the hard ground. For a moment, they lay there, faces inches apart, the shock of the explosion still reverberating through the forest. Tyler could feel Lyra's heartbeats. She had too, he realized with surprise, both racing in her chest. "They're destroying the evidence," she whispered, her silver eyes reflecting the distant flames. "They'll say it was a meteor. No one will believe you if you tell them otherwise." Tyler helped her to her feet, supporting her weight as they limped the final few yards to the cabin door. "Let them think you died in that explosion," he said with determination. "It gives us time to figure out our next move." The cabin was just as Tyler remembered, a single room with a stone fireplace, rough-hewn wooden furniture, and the musty smell of disuse. He lowered Lyra onto the small bed in the corner, wincing at the sight of her wound in the pale moonlight filtering through the windows. "I need to clean that," he said, rummaging through the old emergency kit his grandfather always kept stocked. Lyra's eyes followed his movements. "Your medicine won't work on me. My physiology is different." "Then tell me what to do," Tyler said, returning to her side with a bowl of water and clean cloths. "I'm not just going to let you bleed out." She hesitated, then reached for a small device attached to her suit that Tyler hadn't noticed before. It was the size of a pocket watch, with intricate symbols etched into its metallic surface. "This is a med scanner. It can synthesize treatments, but it's damaged from the crash." Her slender fingers moved over the device, causing it to emit a soft blue glow. "I need certain elements to repair it. Elements that might be hard to find on your world." Tyler thought for a moment. What kind of elements? Something you would call rhodium, and a specific crystal structure of carbon. "Diamonds and precious metals," Tyler translated. "Not exactly stuff I keep in my backpack." Lyra's expression fell, but Tyler was already thinking ahead. His sister, Allison, worked at the university research lab. If anyone could get access to those materials, it would be her. "But bringing someone else into this, I might know someone who can help," he said carefully. "But we have to trust them with your secret." Before Lyra could respond, the cabin's old radio in the corner suddenly crackled to life, making them both jump. Tyler hadn't even turned it on. "Attention citizens of Riverdale County," a smooth, authoritative voice announced. "This is Captain James Lawson of Homeland Security. Earlier this evening, a small meteorite crashed in the northern forest area. The site has been contained, but the meteorite carried unusual radiation signatures. If you encountered the object or were in the vicinity, please report to the emergency medical station being established at Riverdale High School for decontamination and examination." Tyler and Lyra exchanged alarmed glances. This was no Homeland Security operation. "They're looking for witnesses," Lyra whispered. "Anyone who might have seen me. They'll have technology to detect trace amounts of my blood, my DNA." Tyler looked down at his stained shirt with new worry. "They're setting a trap. If I go to this decontamination station, they'll know I was there. If I don't, they'll come looking for anyone who might have been in the area." Lyra finished. "Your name will be on a list." Tyler's phone buzzed in his pocket. A text from his sister. "Weird guys in suits at the lab asking about meteor samples. Said they're from Goft, but badges look off. Everything up. You were hiking near the crash site, right?" His stomach dropped. "They're already tracking down potential witnesses, and they're at my sister's lab." For the first time, the full weight of the situation crashed down on Tyler. This wasn't just about hiding an alien princess anymore. These people, these aliens in disguise, were willing to kill to keep their existence secret. And now his sister was in their sights. "We need to warn her," he said, already dialing Allison's number. No answer. Lyra touched his arm, her silver eyes filled with regret. "I've put your family in danger. I'm sorry." "This isn't your fault," Tyler said firmly. "It's your brother's. And those guards of his." He tried Allison again. Still no answer. Outside, the distant sound of helicopters grew louder. They were expanding their search. "We can't stay here," Tyler decided, gathering what supplies he could find. "They'll sweep every structure in these woods. And I need to find my sister." Lyra struggled to stand, her wounded legs still weak. "I'll slow you down." "I'm not leaving you behind," Tyler said, his voice leaving no room for argument. "We're in this together now." He helped her to the back of the cabin, where his grandfather had built a small cellar for storing game during hunting season. It led to a narrow tunnel that emerged in a dry creek bed a quarter-mile away, his grandfather's emergency exit in case of forest fires. As they prepared to leave, Lyra suddenly gripped Tyler's arm, her face contorted in pain. The silver filaments that served as her hair began to glow, pulsing with an inner light. "What's happening?" Tyler asked, alarmed. "They're using a bio-tracker," she gasped. "A powerful one. It hurts when they scan for me. They know I survived the crash." Tyler's mind raced. They needed a diversion, something to throw off the trackers. His eyes fell on the hunting knife in his emergency pack, and a desperate plan formed in his mind. "Your blood," he said. "They can track your blood. So we give them a false trail to follow." Lyra understood immediately. "It will buy us time. But where will we go? They'll have the roads blocked. The town watched. Tyler thought of his sister, potentially in the hands of these alien infiltrators, of his quiet life in Riverdale, now shattered beyond repair, of the impossible choice before him, his world or hers. First, we save Allison, he said, determination hardening his voice. Then we find someone who can get your warning to people who matter, someone who will believe us. In the distance, the helicopters grew louder, searchlights sweeping across the forest canopy, drawing ever closer to their hiding place. Tyler carefully collected a small amount of Lyra's blood on a piece of cloth, then tore it into strips. His grandfather had taught him how to throw off tracking dogs when hunting. Now he'd use those same skills against alien technology. I'll scatter these in different directions, he explained, showing Lyra the blood-soaked strips. Then we'll take the tunnel to the creek bed and head toward town, not away from it. Lyra nodded, her silver eyes reflecting the moonlight that filtered through the cabin windows. They'll expect us to flee into the wilderness, not toward population centers. Exactly. Tyler helped her to the cellar door, trying to ignore the growing sounds of the search party. Can you make it down these stairs? She gritted her teeth. I have to. The cellar was cold and damp, smelling of earth and forgotten preserves. Tyler found the old lantern his grandfather kept on a hook by the door and lit it, revealing the narrow tunnel entrance behind a false wall of shelving. Wait here, he whispered. I need to lay those false trails first. Lyra caught his hand, her touch sending a strange, electric sensation up his arm. Be careful. Their scanners can detect human biosignatures too, if they realize you've been in contact with me. I'll be quick, Tyler promised. He slipped out the cabin's back door, staying low and moving through the shadows. The helicopters were now hovering directly over the area where Lyra's ship had crashed, powerful lights cutting through the darkness. Men in what appeared to be standard tactical gear were spreading out through the forest, but their movements were too precise, too coordinated to be human. Tyler planted the first blood-soaked cloth on a branch heading east, another on a rock leading north toward the mountains, and a third on the edge of a stream flowing west. Then he doubled back, using every trick he knew to avoid leaving tracks. When he returned to the cellar, Lyra's condition had worsened. Her skin had taken on a grayish tint, the natural luminescence fading. You need medical help, Tyler said, fear tightening his chest. The med scanner, she whispered, her voice weaker than before. Without it, I won't last until morning. Tyler helped her through the narrow tunnel, trying to be gentle despite the urgency that pressed down on them. The tunnel was tight, forcing them to crawl in some places, the lantern casting long, distorted shadows on the earthen walls. Tell me about your world, Tyler said, hoping to keep her conscious and distracted from the pain. What's it like there? A faint smile touched Lyra's lips. Beautiful. Our cities float among the clouds. The oceans glow at night with bioluminescent life. The air smells like what you would call cinnamon. Sounds nice, Tyler said, guiding her around a tight corner. It is, or it was, before my brother's ambition poisoned everything. Her voice hardened. He doesn't just want to conquer Earth. He wants to remake all worlds in his image. They finally reached the end of the tunnel, emerging into the dry creek bed, just as Tyler's phone vibrated again. This time, it was a voice message from Allison, her words rushed and frightened. Tyler, these men aren't government. They found your name on the forest visitor log. They have your photo. They're asking about a woman you might have found. They say she's dangerous, a terrorist. I think they've bugged my phone. The message cut off abruptly. Tyler's blood ran cold. They have Allison. Above them, a helicopter suddenly banked, its searchlight sweeping toward the creek bed. Someone had found one of the false trails too quickly. Tyler, Lyra said, her voice eerily calm despite the danger. If they capture me, they'll kill me and anyone who's helped me. If they capture you, she pressed something into his hand, a small crystal device. This contains proof of everything I've told you. About my brother, about the invasion plans. The helicopter was drawing closer, the wind from its rotors bending the nearby trees. Tyler could see figures rappelling down, their inhuman silhouettes visible against the night sky. "I won't let them take you," Tyler said, pulling Lyra to her feet. "There's an old storm drain up ahead. It leads right into town. It's our only chance." The sound of pursuit grew louder behind them as they stumbled forward, the fate of two worlds now resting on their escape. The storm drain was narrower than Tyler remembered from his childhood adventures. Cold water sloshed around their ankles as they splashed forward, hunched over to avoid hitting their heads on the low concrete ceiling. The only light came from Tyler's phone flashlight, casting ghoulish shadows that danced along the curved walls. "Can you hear that?" Lyra whispered, her breath coming in short gasps. Tyler paused, listening. At first, he heard nothing over the sound of running water. Then he caught it, a faint, rhythmic clicking sound echoing through the drainage system. It was getting closer. "They've sent drones into the drains," Lyra said, her voice tight with fear. "Hunter-seekers. They can detect body heat, movement, even breath particles." Tyler's mind raced. They couldn't outrun drones, especially with Lyra injured. They needed another plan. His eyes fell on a junction ahead where the main drain split into 3 smaller tunnels. "This way," he said, guiding her toward the leftmost tunnel. It was an even tighter fit, forcing them to crouch lower, the cold water now reaching mid-calf. The clicking sounds grew louder, echoing from multiple directions now. "Tyler," Lyra said, stumbling slightly. "The scanner device. It might help us." She fumbled with the damaged med scanner at her waist, her fingers trembling as she adjusted something on its surface. The device began to emit a soft, pulsing hum. "It can't heal me without the materials we need, but I've reversed its function," she explained. "Instead of reading biosignatures, it's now broadcasting interference. It might confuse the drones, but it won't work for long." Tyler could now see tiny red lights spotting in the darkness behind them. Mechanical eyes searching, hunting. The drones were the size of softballs, hovering just above the water's surface, their metallic bodies reflecting the beam of his flashlight. "There's a maintenance access point up ahead," Tyler said, trying to move faster despite Lyra's weakening condition. "It comes up near the old paper mill. My dad used to work there before it closed." The clicking sound suddenly multiplied, coming from ahead of them now too. They were being surrounded. "They're hurting us," Lyra realized with horror. "Like animals." Tyler switched off his flashlight, plunging them into darkness. "We'll have to feel our way forward," he whispered. "The drones are tracking our light." They moved slowly, hands sliding along the slimy concrete walls, feet carefully testing each step to avoid splashing. Lyra was leaning more heavily on Tyler now, her strength fading. The crystal device she'd given him pressed into his pocket, a constant reminder of what was at stake. "My people aren't all like my brother," Lyra said softly, her voice barely audible over the sound of water. "Many of us believe in peace, in cooperation between worlds. If I can reach our resistance movement, bring them this evidence." "First things first," Tyler said. "We need to get out of these tunnels and find Allison." The maintenance access point appeared ahead, a ladder leading up to a circular manhole cover. But as they approached, they heard voices above, human voices speaking with unnaturally perfect diction. "Sector 7 secure, moving to sweep the drainage system." They were trapped between the drones behind them and the disguised Imperial guards above. Tyler pulled Lyra into a small alcove, a tributary drain that was mostly dry. "We can't go up, and we can't go back," he whispered. Lyra's eyes had lost much of their silver luminescence, but they still held fierce determination. "Your sister, what is she like? Would she help us if we could reach her?" "Allison? She's the smartest person I know, and the bravest. She once punched a guy twice her size for dumping toxic waste in the river." Tyler smiled at the memory. "Yeah, she'd help us. But they have her, remember?" "Maybe not," Lyra said. The message cut off, But we don't know if they actually captured her. They might still be looking for her too. Hope flickered in Tyler's chest. He pulled out his phone again, shielding its light with his hand as he typed a message to Allison. Don't trust the Guff guys. Heidi, can you access lab chemicals? Need rhodium plus diamond. Life or death. Meet Old Mill, East Entrance. Care fuel. He hit send, praying the message would reach her. The clicking of the drones grew louder, more frantic, as if they sensed their prey was near but couldn't pinpoint their location. The interference from Lyra's device was working, but the sound of footsteps above them meant the guards were getting closer. Lyra suddenly straightened, a new resolve in her expression. I need to tell you something before. She paused, swallowed hard. Before whatever happens next, your world isn't the first my brother has targeted. There were others who resisted. Entire civilizations, wiped out. Tyler stared at her in shock. You mean? He won't just invade Earth. He'll destroy it if he meets any resistance. Billions of lives, gone. Her six-fingered hand gripped his arm with surprising strength. That's why I risked everything to come here. That's why I can't let them take me back. Above them, the manhole cover began to move, scraping against concrete as someone started to lift it. Below, the red eyes of the drones grew closer, their clicking almost deafening in the narrow space. Tyler looked at the injured alien princess beside him, at the phone in his hand with no response from Allison, at the crystal in his pocket that could save a world. Time seemed to slow as he made his decision. Do you trust me? He asked Lyra. The princess who had fallen from the stars into his ordinary life met his gaze, and in that moment, something passed between them, a connection that transcended the vast differences of their worlds. Yes, she said simply. Tyler nodded, took a deep breath, and stepped out of their hiding place, facing the approaching drones with newfound resolve. Then let's show them what happens when they threaten our worlds. As Tyler stepped into the path of the approaching drones, their red eyes locked onto him, clicking intensifying. He held up Lyra's crystal device in one hand, his phone in the other. The manhole cover above scraped fully open, flashlight beams stabbing down into the darkness. And then, like an answer to an impossible prayer, Tyler's phone buzzed. East entrance clear. Got what you need. 2 minutes. Allison had made it. She was safe. She was coming. Change of plans, Tyler said, turning back to Lyra with renewed hope. We fight our way out. He switched his phone's flashlight to strobe mode and aimed it directly at the drones. The pulsing light confused their sensors, sending them spinning and colliding with the tunnel walls. Above, the guards were descending the ladder, their movements too fluid, too perfect to be human. The crystal, Lyra gasped. Use it. Tyler pulled out the crystal she had given him and, following her weak gestures, pressed a hidden seam. The crystal split open, revealing a brilliant blue light that pulsed in rhythm with Lyra's own faltering heartbeats. Royal biosignature, she explained. The guards are programmed never to harm Arcturian royalty. The effect was immediate. The guards froze, their disguised human faces twitching with confusion as conflicting protocols battled in their programming. It wouldn't last long, but it didn't need to. Tyler half-carried, half-dragged Lyra to a different maintenance ladder, one that led to the east entrance where Allison would be waiting. Every step was a struggle, but the determination that had carried him through this night gave him strength beyond his limits. They emerged into the cool night air behind the abandoned paper mill, the familiar smell of home mixing with the metallic tang of distant fires. And there was Allison, her lab coat fluttering in the breeze, a small case clutched in her hands. Tyler, she gasped, seeing Lyra for the first time. You weren't kidding about the alien part. Long story, Tyler said, helping Lyra toward his sister. Did you get what we needed? Allison nodded, already opening the case. Rhodium sample and industrial diamond. Took some creative explaining to get them out of the lab. With shaking hands, Lyra placed the materials into her med scanner. The device hummed to life, its blue glow intensifying as it synthesized whatever medicine her body needed. When she pressed it to her wounded leg, her silver eyes closed in relief. "We don't have much time," Lyra said, her voice already stronger. "The guards' confusion won't last." "What's the plan?" Allison asked, looking between them, "Because those helicopter things are everywhere, and the roads are all blocked." Tyler met Lyra's gaze. "We need to get your message out. About your brother, about what's coming for Earth. People need to know." "Not people," Lyra corrected. "The right people. Those with the power to prepare, to unite your world against what's coming." The color was returning to her luminescent skin as the medicine worked. "And I need to contact the resistance among my people." Allison held up her university ID badge. "I know a professor in the astronomy department. He has connections to NASA, to people in government who might actually listen." For the first time since the crash, Tyler felt a genuine spark of hope, not just for survival through the night, but for what came after, for both their worlds. "Then let's go," he said, helping Lyra to her feet. She stood steadily now, her silver eyes bright with renewed purpose. "We've got 2 worlds to save." As they slipped away into the shadows, Lyra's hand found Tyler's, her 6 fingers intertwining with his 5. Above them, the stars shone in a sky that no longer seemed quite so distant or alien, a sky that connected their worlds rather than separated them. The night that had begun with a falling star was ending with a rising hope. And for Tyler Reed, ordinary human from the small town of Riverdale, life would never be the same again.